Hi beautiful people! So today we will be talking about some common yoga mistakes that happened to me as a practitioner, and they also ended up happening to me as a yoga teacher. So if you're a yoga student or if you're a yoga teacher, please stick and see if one of these mistakes you are also making. So mistake number 1, drinking water during our practice. So drinking water in our yoga practice is a big no-no. The reason behind it, anatomically speaking, would be because if we have water in our stomach and we're doing a down dog or we're kind of inverting ourselves, it might, go the other way. But the yoga reason, or the philosophical yogic reason behind it, is that in our yoga practice, when we're doing asanas, we are trying to create fire in our body. We're trying to ignite that agni. Now, what happens when you throw water over a fire? You're kind of putting that fire out. So you're being very counterproductive with what you are doing in your practice. During your whole yoga practice, you should not drink water. And I tell this to my students many times to stop drinking water during their yoga practice. This might take a while to adjust because it is very difficult in the beginning. I used to drink a lot of water when I was practicing, but now I can say that I can easily do a 2-hour practice without feeling the need to drink water. Mistake number 2, using a fan or air conditioning. Same reason as before, we are trying to create that fire. And by putting on the fan or putting on air conditioning, we are being counterproductive. We are working against what we are trying to create with our practice. So after being here in India for a year, I can say that I've gotten quite used to hot yoga. Not by choice, but pretty much because there was no other option. My gurus always would turn off the fans during the practice, even when it was 47 degrees Celsius. I don't know how much Fahrenheit that is, it should be here somewhere. Another reason is that in the heat, our body opens up much more if the temperature is anywhere above 42 degrees Celsius. I will turn on the fan because I'm not at that point yet where I can practice in that heat without struggling so much. Mistake number 3, not engaging our glutes in back bends. Oh God, I don't know how many times I have heard teachers actually giving this cue, teachers giving me this cue, me also giving this cue to my students. Oh, so many regrets. If we do not engage our glutes, we are hanging in our lower back, and if we keep doing this on a consistent basis, it will bring problems in the long run. Mistake number 4, music during your practice. So guilty, 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 yes. Now what happens? We have a limited amount of energy, a limited amount of attention, and that attention should go fully into our practice. When we have music during our practice and we have a teacher giving us a lesson and we have our own practice going on, you see that that energy is being divided into 3 parts. Instead of having to spread that energy all around, we can collect that energy into one thing. There is a big difference on how yoga has been taught in the Western world than actually here. Here many people still follow a lineage, they still follow quite strict rules, they're still trying to keep the culture of yoga as pure as possible. So I had a conversation yesterday with a friend and he told me something very interesting. And he told me, Romi, pizza is Italian, right? But pizza is also being sold in America. The pizza being sold in America is probably nothing like the pizza that originally started in Italy. Now, does that mean that American pizza is better or is worse than the Italian pizza? No, not really. I prefer Italian pizza, I really like it. But if you'll give me some American pizza, I'll definitely have it. The same thing happens with yoga. Our purest form is being taught in a certain way and has certain culture behind it, when other countries have taken it, and it has kind of taken its own way. I'm not saying it's wrong or right, I'm just sharing you my experience from what I have learned of being 1 year here in India. Mistake number 5, not bending our knees in a forward fold or in a down dog, especially for beginners. A lot of people have pelvic tilt, and not bending the knees will put a lot of strain into the lower back. I've seen many teachers giving the cue, straighten your knees, straighten your knees, straighten your knees. Stop, please stop. This can make people overstretch their hamstrings actually. It might even create some injuries. Finding a sweet balance between bending your knees and straightening them is very important. Focus on a stomach and thigh connection, and from there slowly straightening your knees. Mistake number 6, to take your arms away from your ears. To some point that has some sense, because we don't want our arms to be right here, we don't want them to be headphones, but we also don't want them to be down. And the reason for that is because the elevation of our arm requires the usage of our back. It requires to use the scapula. And the scapula, to create that movement, needs to elevate. Now, we don't elevate it that we're straining, but we also don't bring it absolutely down that we are excluding our scapula in that exercise. That's how our body is made. Our scapula is made to aid us in that movement. It is part of that movement. So why are we taking it out of that movement? That will put a lot of pressure on our shoulder, and that might cause an injury. So imagine that you're pushing something above your head. Downward facing dog is pushing motion. So we need to push actually, and to push we need to include as many muscles as possible, and that includes a lot of our back muscles. Mistake number 7, focusing on everything we cannot do. Now, there are many things in yoga that I'm pretty sure everybody is able to do. All our bodies are different, so maybe what is easy for me will be very difficult for you, but maybe some things that are very easy for you to do might be very difficult for me. Focus on the good parts of your practice. Don't focus on, I cannot forward fold, I cannot touch my toes, I cannot do the splits, or I cannot do a wheel, I cannot. And if we focus on that, our mind will believe that as well. When I started my yoga practice, I used to say a lot, I can't. I used to repeat this a lot for myself, and maybe that's also the case for you. My first yoga teacher told me to just add the words yet, so that the phrase would become, I can't do it yet. That completely changed my mind and body connection. And if you're actually interested in your mind and body connection, you can check this video here somewhere where I talk a little bit deeper about it, and I'll give you an exercise where you can actually become aware of how your mind and your body works together in unison. Instead of focusing on all the things that we cannot do, let's focus on the things we're able to do, because probably you are able to do certain things that come very naturally. And from there, the rest will automatically just come along. And now, as an extra tip or mistake that sometimes as yoga students or as yoga teachers we also do, is that we say that a certain pose or certain asana or certain exercises will help you lose fat around a certain area. Now, I know yoga doesn't really focus on fat loss, but I still have heard teachers saying that if you do certain exercises or if you do certain asanas, you will lose belly fat, or if you do these strengthening arm poses, you will lose arm fat. Sadly enough, our body doesn't work like that. The same way as we don't choose where we store that fat, we also don't choose where we lose it. The only way of losing that fat wherever you want it is coming into a calorie deficit. With our yoga practice, we can make it easier to come into that caloric deficit. We can do a lot of uplifting flows, we can do a lot of vinyasas, we can do ashtanga, we can do a power flow. But still, if we're not taking care of our proper nutrition, we won't be able to lose that fat. Now, in our yoga journey, all we actually really want to do is to learn to connect with ourselves, to love our body, to nurture it more. So anytime that you see any post that says, do these ab workouts and you lose tummy fat, sadly, it doesn't happen like that. All of these things that I've said, especially the tips in the beginning, are relative. You'll see nowadays in Western culture there is wine yoga, there is beer yoga, there is naked yoga. So understand that those things are not the original form of yoga, and it's definitely not what is being promoted here in India, but still, American pizza, Italian pizza, which one do you like the most? Thank you guys for watching this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I don't know where the button is, and if you have anything to say about these things, please comment in the section below and I'll get back to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm very grateful and I hope you guys have a lovely day.